Hello. You guys know why we're here. I'm so scared right now. Thanks for being patient. I've been looking forward to this so much, and now that it's here, I'm a little nervy. But that's just how it is, I guess. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready when you are.
All right, cool. So I'm here with Rig and his friend Noel, and we're gonna talk. I'm gonna share some stories. They're gonna talk about like apparently Noel has been studying this kind of thing and is really into it, and I'm really excited to hear their insights. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with one of these stories. So my brother Jordan, he has like a lot of weird experiences. So like he has a lot of really cool stories, and I was most excited for his. So he's not superstitious. Actually, when I talked to him about this, he's just like, here are the facts. I'm not saying it was a ghost. I don't really believe in ghosts. But also, he said that he doesn't believe in ghosts because he hopes that that means they'll leave him alone. And so far, it hasn't worked. Um, but anyway, so all right. So apparently, when he was younger, he said at a birthday party at a friend's house in fifth grade, they were in like at this friend's house in like a really rural area, and they had Left 4 Dead on his brother's Xbox. So they were in his brother's room, and he said that basically it was the couch was like facing a very deep windowsill that had a blanket draped over it to like block out the sun, and the window had like the Xbox and like a really big thick TV sitting on it. So to the right of the couch, facing the windowsill, on the wall was a crawl space that had opened every time that you opened the door to the room, because like the air displacement like would like create some kind of draft and would like rip this thing open. Um, so they had duct taped it shut like really heavily, and there was also a Bluetooth speaker built into a fan, which is crazy, and a Snoop Dogg poster over the bed. So here's our setting, right? So they're playing games, and the Bluetooth fan like turns off, and they just had like this like weird creepy feeling, I guess. And then the TV turned off, and then all of a sudden, like without them redoing anything to have caused this, the blanket just fell off of the window, and the sun just like blinds them because I guess it was the middle of the day. Then Snoop Dogg falls off the wall, and it freaks them out, so they
Not
stand up
Snoop.
and yeah, Snoop Dogg um, runs out of the room, slam the door, and now the crawl space like blew open, which makes sense if they slammed the door. But this thing had been duct taped a lot, and the only way that they knew that it had opened was because of like how violently it hit the wall and how loud the noise was. So he said that he decided to go outside and jump on the trampoline, and while they were out there, his dog starts like losing its shit and barking at like the tree line. He said that basically the vibe was off, and this happened in the fifth grade. So he said something else happened that scared them, and he remembers something made them like run inside, but he can't remember which. And then nothing really weird happened after that, and then he decided that this was a good time to watch The Conjuring for the first time. So that's that entire story, but that's where it starts, I guess, is in the fifth grade.
So let me get
Uh,
this straight. He had an experience, and then when this all happened, his initial reaction was to go outside and jump on trampoline.
yeah.
The dog added to this, and then he went to watch The Conjuring.
hmm
Has he had any more experiences after that? Because that's just like stacking up and asking for trouble at that point,
I
or
guess
at least
I wouldn't. Sorry, go ahead.
I would say at least least testing his luck.
Yeah, I would be very surprised to find out that there were definitely no experiences after that until he started going to college, which is where the rest of these stories are from. Um,
Mm.
but honestly, I'm sure very crazy things happened to him and he just doesn't remember them very well. Or they weren't like good enough stories to make this list. So that was kind of just like his first memory of this kind of thing going on, and then we've got some like a lot of college stories after
Mm. What time of day would do these stories usually take
This
happened?
this one looks like he didn't mention
How's it going, Sean?
anything about the time of day except for in one of them, it was like late at night. This one happens late at night frequently. Like a lot of these things are like recurring things that kept happening. There was like this occasional like whistling that would happen in their dorm sometimes. And he doesn't mention a specific time of day, but he said that like they checked out the AC, like it made a little bit of a whistling sound, but it was completely different. Like they were trying to figure out where it was coming from. Nobody could find out where it was coming from, and it always sounded like it was coming from right behind your head, like directly behind your head. Even if two people are looking at each other and they both hear it, it to both of them sounds like it's coming from right behind their head. So they named this their resident ghost Jerry, and that actually comes
Jerry.
back later. Yeah. This is a dorm full of college age freshman boys. So
There it goes, Jerry.
Yeah, they're all fans of Seinfeld, huh? That's what it is.
so like that he said just happens whatever time during the day. But do you have any other notes, or do you want me to start with like the some of the stuff that happened his freshman year?
So the first things you were telling us about was when he was young, right? Like
Yeah.
5, you said?
Fifth grade.
5? Oh, fifth grade.
Mhm.
So what about
I don't know how old that makes
9?
you.
I don't know.
8, 9-year-old around there? They're about
I'll
9 in
let take
sixth
your
grade,
word
so I
for
could.
it.
I mean, they always say that children are more susceptible to the spiritual world and the supernatural, right?
Yeah, I think children just in general are not fixed in this way of that their minds have accepted what's real and what's not. So they have less filters, and with that, I think they can perceive more and or just are generally open to experiencing more because they have no set rules yet that says this is not real and this is real. And I think that's why a lot of kids end up seeing more, experiencing more before they, quote unquote, grow up.
Yeah. I will say, I have some theories on this kind of thing. Now, I haven't really delved into this. This is just kind of like, okay, so I do have an aunt who, excuse me, I have an aunt who is a medium. She says that like she gets kind of just like feelings and like emotions from like paranormal sources, I guess. But she doesn't really like hear them like speaking or whatever. But she's been able to accurately kind of guess what was going on to some really weird things. Um, so I'll always ask for her insight. She's also really insightful in a lot of ways. Like I'll send her my dreams sometimes, and she'll kind of get like a feeling about what they mean, stuff like that. She has given me some notes from my dad, which was really nice. Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah, but my theory is essentially that like I feel like this kind of thing happens more to people that are like dealing with a lot emotionally or like suppressing a lot emotionally. In my experience, now I've had like one I feel like it depends on what you consider my sleep paralysis experiences, but outside of that, I've had like maybe one encounter that I can remember, and it happened when my dad was in the hospital, and which he later ended up passing away. So had just like a lot going on. Then things happen to my brother all the time, and he's had a lot happen to him in his life. So yeah, so that's my theory. That would also check out with like kids, like maybe there's something there about like they haven't developed a sense of like how to process things. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Okay.
Did you happen to grow up religious or anything like that? Because I know a lot of people will say that they experience more things because they were raised a certain way or started believing something early on. But I think um, I don't think it really matters. I think it's just my theory is that everybody's born with certain abilities or a range of sensitivities, I guess, and that it doesn't really matter. But I think sometimes how how far they're into the culture that they're brought into that kind of sometimes determines what they believe in or what they see.
My brother and I were both raised really Christian. We were actually Church of Christ. And like a lot of Christians don't even consider that to be a branch of it because it's so strict and so like I don't want to say anything to upset anybody, but some people think it's kind of culty. And I stopped following that when I moved out and started kind of like figuring myself out. But I was heavily into it. I was really, really devout. And my brother is pretty devout. He was never to the extreme that I was, but he's still religious.
Would you say that the level of devout you were was almost a stressful level? Because
Oh
one
yeah.
of the theories that I have is that the amount of stress that is put on somebody also causes uh, a lot more brain activity, so they start to become susceptible to things, even if it's not so much paranormal. It can be somewhat as a, uh, I guess, just making you see things that possibly aren't there, or starting to give your imagination more life, and so to speak.
Yeah, I definitely say that it was really stressful. Just like the kind of things that they taught that I was like constantly trying to like adhere to and like police about myself and like just like everything about me was definitely stressful and it was really hard to unlearn. It took a couple years actually. Oh, and I'll also say my brother's not Church of Christ anymore. He's like a I don't know what he would uh identify with, but he's a more lax branch at this point.
I
Anyway,
I was um I was raised Catholic, so I think
I have to lean in more.
oh yeah so in Catholicism there's just I guess also from my side of the family they are very open to like spirits and hauntings and stuff like that. So it was kind of something that I grew up just being around
mm-hmm.
and hearing about, um, which might have opened up the possibility to having those kind of experiences. But I'll never know, I guess. What about you, Corey?
I mean, I I grew up not following a Catholic, like I'm baptized Catholic, but not followed the faith close whatsoever, but still susceptible and attuned to like paranormal things and supernatural things like that, because uh just because the family I grew up in uh kind of dabbled in that, so to speak. My
Mm-hmm.
uncle was owned a botanica, and he experimented with white magic and black magic, and contacting the other side, that we found out after his passing. And he was with me when we found out a lot of this stuff. So
Okay.
Yeah.
he went to the shop too that my uncle had at the time, and he's grown up with me for many years, since seventh grade. So he he's met all of my family, my extended family, so he knows about everybody in the close proximity of my family. That so
Mm-hmm.
he's been to the shop where my uncle had, and saw all the stuff that he had too.
Cute.
So
Mhm.
I'll say that reminds me that so my aunt is a medium. My grandmother um and my other aunt and kind of just going up the like maternal line on my dad's side. Um Basically they've had a lot of this kind of like my aunt's the only one that's like a medium or anything, but like they've had a lot of these kind of like um seeing things and feeling things. Like my aunt will like she had a this weird feeling one day and told her like ex-husband like, hey, I don't know why and I can't explain this to you, but don't go into work today. And he was like, okay, because I guess at this point she had like had these feelings sometimes, and it was like, I'm really glad that I listened to you. And then that day, the guy that filled in for him cut his whole hand off.
oh,
Yeah. So, and then like my grandmother, when she passed away, I think it's been about a year, maybe two. She in her like last couple days, she was like talking to all of our deceased relatives. Like laying in her bed, like just like talking to them, like she could see them. And just
Oh,
like she'd had like experiences like her whole life, but like that's the one that comes to mind right now that my aunt told me about, or like the most recent one. Okay. So in Jordan's freshman year, he lived in an old building in the dorms. He had two roommates, Cody and Carter. I checked in. They said it's cool that I use their names, or Jordan did. Um, so they were on the seventh and top floor, and they constantly heard footsteps on the roof. Um, and then basically like it was like this was on a roof that like people could get on. And this is significant because Jordan also heard footsteps on the roof of my dad's house. And these are like I've heard them before. They are heel to toe human footsteps. Like this isn't like an animal or anything. Like I would definitely leave it open to the possibility that it could be, but like I heard them and these were human footsteps. And at my dad's house, it was just a house. He did not live close to anything like or any like people. We didn't have neighbors nearby. It would be absolutely insane for someone to be on the roof. Jordan went out and checked, and nobody was there. There weren't any animals or anything either. Now, when my dad was in the hospital, I was in my room, which was on the top floor. We had a very sloped roof. You couldn't walk on it if you wanted to, and there were no ways that any animals could get to the roof. So I was doing homework. I was in college and I was doing homework in my room, and I start hearing these footsteps. And my cat even like looked around and was like, "Where is that coming from? What's going on?" And she's like watching the roof. As am I essentially. Like you can, it feels like you can hear exactly where they are, and they're just walking down, turn around, come back. They're just pacing back and forth like across like the middle of the ceiling. And like my cat was like equally as like what the fuck is happening as I was. I have a video of it, but I can't play it because I'm using my phone for a webcam right now. But and you can barely hear it in the video anyway, but it's very spooky. I definitely had a feeling. I was like something's happening. I wouldn't say necessarily that I was really like felt like something bad was happening, but I could feel like something was happening. So I heard it this one time. Jordan has heard it multiple times at his dorm, and then also at my dad's house. And so I talked to my aunt about it, and she said that she was getting big feelings about the person. It started after my dad moved into this house. There was this lady that lived there before, and Aunt just said that she could essentially she couldn't have kids, but she really wanted them. And that like after she saw like what started happening to us, it also happened right after my dad went to the hospital. She felt really protective of us and essentially was like following us around. Like she followed us to my mom's house. And then I guess followed Jordan to his dorm
that to me is
here.
interesting because most of the stuff that I've read and we believed in is that spirits can't usually roam unless they're attached to something, uh, like some kind of object or a person, so to speak. They typically will stay in an
Yeah,
area, because
that was
that's their domain. So
right. That was my understanding as well, so that's why I was really confused. I was like, how am I it's not sticking around to one place and it's not sticking around to one person because it happened to me and when I was that happened to me, Jordan was actually on a tour. He was in Alabama touring this college. When that happened to me, nobody was home. It was just me and my cat. So, I thought that was weird, and so I talked to my aunt about it, and she said that it just felt like this lady was attached to, like, essentially both of us. I only heard it the one time, when my life was really, like, stressful, and then, but I didn't tell Jordan about it. And then later he told me about it. I think he said he heard it at mom's house as well. And that's the first time he told me about it, and I was like, "Crazy, I heard it at mom's house." And he was like, "I also heard it at dad's house, and I heard it at my dorm." And then, like, he just continued to hear it at his dorm while he lived there.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. That one confuses me.
I also know too is that what we've studied and read, that spirits thrive and feed on um, energy or stress or negative energy and things like that, but in a protective manner. I mean, that's something different.
Yeah, I think for the longest time, I think people attribute like a spirit haunting a space only, but in the last, I would say, decade or so, it's been more prevalent out in, especially in media, and more people telling their stories, that a person can also be in a way haunted, or a receptacle for a spirit or energy, and they can move places and it'll follow them. It's not always malevolent, like it could be like a guardian, like a family member that just kind of watches over them, or is around. But that's the thing, that a person can also have that following them around. And I think when it's something like that, then if it's good or bad, depending on how you feel about it, you can take measures to protect yourself, or try to ward yourself from that kind of energy.
Yeah, I actually had a friend who has another friend, and one of the first times she actually came over to her apartment, her friend was like, do you know that like there's an old man that follows you around? And she was like, what do you mean? And she was like, she was like, apparently she sees things like this sometimes. I can't imagine what that would look like, honestly. It sounds insane. But she sees this kind of thing, and she's just like, I didn't know how to say anything. Like, it's also like my aunt's experience of like, I like feel like I should tell people things sometimes. I don't know how to, and I don't know how they're gonna receive it. Like, one, are they gonna believe me, or are they gonna think I'm insane? And then two, what if they didn't want to hear that? But she was like, "Yeah, an old
Right.
man follows you around," and I was like, "You should like get me together with this girl. I just want to see if she says anything." Because I feel like I've lost like a lot of family members at this point, and I feel like they like my aunt says that my dad is constantly like hanging around, things like that. I've got both my grandparents and an aunt that are like so special to me and that I've lost. So like, I would definitely be interested to see, like, selfishly, I guess, like, so, like, see if she says anything or if she says anything to my friend afterwards.
Right. And I think one of my theories that I've been thinking about is I feel that when somebody passes, when the rest of us are alive, and go through our grief, and um, witness our passing, we think of I guess the spirit or energy of that person to kind of linger on in a sort of linear fashion, where it's like, oh, they died this year, and it's been a couple years, and they pop in and out and stuff like that. um and I think my theory is that when somebody passes, their spirit is no longer tied to the linear time. So one might feel like, oh, I haven't felt this energy, I haven't felt like, for instance, like my grandma, or somebody that passed by in a while, and I wonder what they're doing. It might not be that they're not there in that way, but they're actually just not tied to the physical realm in that way, where can to us it feels linear, but they might be traveling and visiting you in like in your past or something like that, since they're not tied by linear time anymore.
That's
It
pretty
gets a bit
cool.
wacky though, and I can go on a
Yeah.
tangent about this, but
Well, that's what this is for.
We don't have 5 hours for him. I'm just telling you, putting that out there now. And
um,
neither does he, but I mean,
that's really interesting. I'd honestly, maybe we do this again at some point. I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think it's pretty well. It kind of stretches your brain in a way, because it's like suppose that you had let's see, a family member that passed, like you were a kid, let's say, in your future you had a family member that passed away, and you then, as an adult, you find that their energy is around, and you feel their presence, and then you think back, or like, when I was a kid, I also felt something very similar. Who's to say that the spirit is tied to a linear sense of time, and that same spirit could have visited you when you were a child,
mhm.
while that person was still alive? So it gets
That's crazy.
kind of crazy.
What he's talking about with time and everything like that, that's I absolutely he mentioned this to me before, and I absolutely believe that too with him, that by not having the bounds of a physical body, you are able to traverse through time and space, so to speak. So
Crazy.
So it's
Um.
kind of out there, but it's really fun to speculate.
Oh yeah, and it's like some of these are just like from my end, like a lot of this is like theories or like kind of like what I've kind of like just like it could be like, oh, wouldn't this be cool? Or it could be like noticing a pattern here or something, and like it's okay if
Yeah,
they're not true, or if I don't like if it's just a feeling, I still think it's like fun to speculate, you know?
yeah.
mhm.
And I know a lot of people get the idea of like, oh, if there's a spirit or some sort of thing, then if you can't see them, that means it's not there or it's not real. But there are just so many ways to perceive energy, and some people can see a physical sight. Other people can hear things. Other people can sense things or feel things. Some people can smell a certain smell that others can't around the area. So I think these things manifest in the way that the person perceiving it or in the area trying to perceive it is capable of doing it. I think we're all born with a different set of sensitivities, and not everybody has like the like a way to see it, like, kind of like what we think of as in TV and movies.
Rain Chaos wants to know like a soul tie, if he's using that word properly.
Soul
Yeah.
type,
hmm
like somebody that's tied to you in your time in your life.
It possibly, or if in the sense that like the soul is tied to a like a person, and rather than like you can say, yeah, Margaret says vibe attunement kind of.
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah.
Alan.
Well, that's where it can get kind of wide, because some people believe that we're all born into a sort of agreed like family in a way, like like your mom and your dad and sometimes you're even close friends were to each other something different relationship wise in another life or whatever.
Mhm.
If you are using the theory of reincarnation, then you just kind of are swapping uh spaces with
Yeah.
each lifetime and experiencing each other as something different. Like you could have been uh, the father of your father last in another life, and your mother could have been your sibling, and you just kind of trade off relationships to learn more and sort of add mileage to your consciousness as you progress. So, I
That's a
mean,
very convoluted Back to the Future plot. I just want you to know that.
We
well, I mean, that's how it is. I
we
mean, like,
should
some people sometimes you meet and you're friends, and you're like, oh, you're like my sister or whatever. It's like maybe there is this sort of connection that was there
Yeah.
no,
at one
yeah.
time.
This is gonna sound like corny maybe, but like I'm super into the X Files and they explore that a lot, and I thought that was so interesting. Honestly, could have a whole episode just about that, and I'd be fascinated.
Yeah, no, I love that show.
Oh, really?
It,
I feel like
yeah,
Uh,
half the time I
he
mention it
watched
to
all of it.
oh well yeah, I guess that's right up your alley. Um,
yeah, yeah.
I'm 24, so most of the people I talk to about it are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
No, I grew up with that kind of stuff. It was on TV, and
That's all we had.
yeah, that's all we had. So it was so it was really entertaining, but also it kind of raised a lot of questions. And
hmm
Mhm. All right, I'm gonna go to the next one.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Um,
Bring it on.
okay, another random thing that would happen. He said if you turn the lights off late at night in the living room, sometimes it sounded like there was something crawling out in all directions from the center of the ceiling. Um, which he thinks might have just been because it was a really old building, or he said it was very unnerving. Like it was a really like when it happened, you kind of got like a chill. You know what I mean? And yeah, Margot says, "Oh hell no," and I agree. He said that to me. I was like crawling in all directions from the ceiling. Okay.
I mean, you couldn't see my face, but it was very much like a what the hell.
Yeah.
But I kind of have a theory on that. But go on.
Okay, well, that's its own thing, so if you have a comment about that, you go
Oh, that's
ahead.
its own thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing I can think of at that time, and this is the part where the skeptic uh knocks on the door, is because like
Yeah.
if it's an older house,
Mhm.
if it gets cold, is it really the wood creaking from a center weak point? Is it possible that a current could be going through and somehow you're hearing a current flow through from a center focal point and things like that. Things that should be able to be explained as to if they're happening consistently from the
Yeah.
same point. Now, if it's just something that happens randomly like that, yeah, that's a different story that I wouldn't be able to even try to attempt with that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think you have to try to figure out scientifically in a way first to
Mhm.
see and try to get any questions out of the way. But yeah, that sounds like you got to move.
yeah, yeah. If you hear things coming from the ceiling and start to see black tendrils or smoke, then you're like, yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
time to move.
That's a similar thing happened to me 2 years ago, where there was a it would happen at night, early in the morning,
Oh, she gone.
and I was scared, but I was like, okay, well, what could it be? It didn't end up being anything paranormal. It just ended up being a really, really chunky raccoon in the crawl space. But I swear to you, like it was really scary. But first you gotta try to see what it is, and if you can't explain it by any other rational way, then I would then be open to speculate.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that could be explained by like some wiring issue or anything like that, you know? I think it's worth noting if there's a weird feeling that comes with it, but also like if something just sounds unnerving or like at a first glance unexplainable, then you're gonna maybe, feel weird about it. So,
Yeah, I also think too that people can take a normal experience, like I said, like the current or anything like that, and their mind can totally play a trick like that and make it something supernatural or something paranormal just to fill in the blank space of like, I don't know what this is, but if you really sit there and think about it, you can figure it out, but your mind just goes, it's got to be something creepy and weird. So,
yeah, 100%.
I tend to do that sometimes, but I try to figure out if it is something physical or an animal or something like that. But
Mhm.
my mind does go to possibly being a paranormal thing, just because of my experiences as a kid and as an adult. Because uh, sort of those sort of things kind of tend to happen around me. And
Yeah.
I think any one of my friends can tell you that.
yeah, I can. I can.
Um
I've been around you for a long time, and I know some. I'm like, what the hell, man?
and that's another thing. Certain people attract those kind of events, not only when they're alone or with themselves, but around other people, that then lends the credibility of someone who isn't open to uh, that kind of thing. If they are around somebody who experiences a lot, then I think they become a little bit less skeptical and a little, you know,
mhm.
approaching the possibility that there might be something else.
Right.
Yeah, for instance,
But
like,
yes,
I'll say the experience with, like, hearing someone walking on the roof, I can't express to you how much I wanted that to be an animal. Like, I was like, "Surely it's just, like, a squirrel or something," but I have no idea how a squirrel would have gotten up there, and then I also, like, went outside, checked, there were no animals, there was also no person walking on the roof, and like I said, it's a very slanted roof, like, it'd be very hard to do that, and then also, like, the more I listened to it, the more I was like, "There is actually no way that this is an animal, that's a human footstep."
yeah, that is going to be hard to explain.
Yeah, but totally, like, a lot of it, I feel like if you can explain it away, then there's no reason to, like, blame it on the paranormal, but,
The vibe you put
okay.
out and carry with you. Agreed. Agreed.
Alright, so, after this, uh I mean, I guess during this year, he had his first episode of sleep paralysis ever. I didn't even know that he had sleep paralysis, but he has so many weird shit, like things going on with his sleep, and so do I. Like, I get sleep paralysis, so like I talked about in another episode, it checks out. Honestly, I'm not surprised at all. But this was the first time he got it. He said he was asleep and woke up to find his roommate in his room. His roommate Carter. Now you'll see like a pattern when a roommate is involved. It's always got something to do with Carter. I feel like Carter definitely has weird shit happen to him a lot, and the combination of them living together was just like that's why it happened so much. So he wakes up with his roommate in his room behind his door, and he thought like maybe he was like trying to scare him, like he was kind of hiding in like a shadow behind the door. But he was upset about that because apparently they had like a strict agreement, like don't enter each other's rooms unless like you've got like you say that it's okay, you're like invited in. And he also closed and locked his door every night. So he sat up to be like, what the fuck? Like, why are you in here? And when he sat up, there was like a demonic presence looming behind his roommate. And he said it was red and black and it looked kind of like the demon from The Conjuring. So this is the dream before the sleep paralysis. Then he
Oh,
wakes up. Yeah. Uh, he wakes up
pretty cool.
um from the dream and is facing the door, and he sees the door is open and he can't move. And then by the time that he can move again, he looked at his door and it was closed. That could easily be some of the like typical sleep paralysis kind of like dream stuff, but with the weird shit happening. And there's a couple things about doors in here. I thought it was really interesting, especially because it involved Carter, who was like had like a bunch of weird shit happen to him.
Carter is not related, right? That's just
Right.
a
A friend.
friend.
Yeah, they're just friends.
And where did they meet at a young age or at an older age?
I believe that they met in high school.
In high school. Okay. Huh. I've never heard anything like that.
Well, I mean, do you have you had any friends that end up kind of leaving residual stuff after you hang out with them?
You?
No, me.
Oh,
Oh, it's good
why are
stuff.
you asking
You and your
her?
I'm asking
residual
you.
shit
Oh, you're
all over
asking.
the place.
I'm like, bro, there's residual everywhere you go.
Mhm.
No, but I mean, like, just this. I mean, in our experiences and that you and I have shared, I mean, usually it just kind of it either stays with one person or goes with or goes with another person. It doesn't really tailor off, but
I've had stuff stay at my house by just having somebody visit for like an hour or so, and I had to use my better judgment to think. I'm like, well, where is this coming from? It's not from me. It's so I had to do some clearing. I actually needed some help from somebody to help me clear that stuff out
oh,
because I couldn't do it because it was
That's
really
crazy.
yeah, it was one of my friends. She came over and we just started talking, and after she left that night, I had as I was drifting to sleep, I I felt like the pull of somebody pulling my foot.
Mm.
Um, and but I was way too tired, so I didn't pay attention. The next day I just felt like this really cold feeling like over me, like behind me, um to the point where like I would get chills, and I was thinking like rationally, like, oh crap, like is this COVID? Because everything is um but no. And then I would leave home and then I'd go to work, and then I'd come back and I get the same feeling of like, okay, there's something here. um so I had to get somebody to help me clear it out. But sometimes you need help, and other times you can just use things like using certain stones. Like I like using magnetite most of the time around
Mhm.
my in my room or in my bed, because I feel like it helps refract or whatever the energy in the
mhm.
room.
Mhm.
But yeah, it can get pretty scary.
Yeah, that was
The
one of the
ghost
things
or demon.
my aunt does is like her friends will call her, or like they'll be like, a friend of my friend is having issues, could you come, and she'll like kind of like sage the place. She said that essentially she was like I asked her if she had any notes, and she said, "I'll just say, like, if anybody wants to go ghost hunting or if they're having these kinds of things happen to them, the key is confidence. Like, essentially,
Yes.
if you're just kind of like,
Yeah.
hey, you're not welcome here, and like you've got like a confidence about you, you're not like worried that it's not going to work or whatever. And you're like saging or whatever, you do something to drive them out, that they're a lot more likely to just leave you alone.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with things like following you back because what you feel is what you generate in your
Mm-hmm.
energy field and outside your body. And if you are feeling fear or feeling uncertainty, then that definitely attracts that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing to remember.
Yeah, no, they definitely feed off the fear and the. That was one of the things that too that my mother she grew up in Mexico, so she's she's familiar with folklore and things like that of the spirits down there. She would always tell me like if you think there's something there, just you gotta be strong. You gotta yell at it. You gotta make sure that you don't show fear because then it makes it worse and they feed off of it and it gets stronger. She's like if you just yell at it and say like you don't believe in it and things like that, you show you're brave. They tend to leave you alone. And so I was like, oh okay, well good to know,
Um,
Mom. Thanks.
I will say with one of my sleep paralysis things, the one where I thought there was somebody in my house. Every time I'd like I said, it's like you're in like this weird area between sleep and being awake, and it's really hard to like fully wake up, and so I just kept falling back asleep, and then it would happen again, and then I'd like it's hard to like actually like even if I stand up I might fall over, like I'm kind of not conscious, and don't really have like full control over my body. And so one of the times, this one with like somebody being in my house, I just was like, hey, I don't know what your deal is, but you gotta leave me alone, I'm so tired. I was like just like genuinely very tired, and it was scary, but also I was like, you gotta let me go back to sleep, man. And I basically said that, and then it stopped. I was like, this is what Aunt Jess said to do, so fuck off. I'm sleepy.
I don't know what you are, but I ain't got time for this right now. I'm
Yeah,
really
bro. Can't
tired.
you see I'm EP? Leave me alone.
But yeah, no, that's a crazy feeling, the sleep paralysis. So
Yeah. Have you had any sleep paralysis happen to you?
I've not had sleep paralysis.
It's
No,
not fun.
I.
It's not fun.
Sorry, I'm in the club of one here that has not had sleep
It's not fun.
paralysis. Oh yeah,
Um,
no, that would be a whole stream to touch on Mexican folklore and
Oh
spiritual
yeah.
stuff
oh
like
yeah.
that. There's a
There's a lot of stuff
lot
there.
going down there.
Um, there was like a lot when I was looking up like the cryptids and stuff. I wanted to do something separate about folklore, but it was hard for me to at the time like separate them. So that one was more about cryptids, but like that's definitely really like there was a lot of cool stuff there that I was like, I don't know if I can include this with like the time, and I don't know if it's on topic enough, you know.
Well, no, I mean, it is sort of with Mexico, what they have down. A lot of it does tie to this with folklore, like the woman in white, La Llorona. That's a spirit that
Yeah.
is created through a horrible event that happens, and it's almost like a cursed spirit, so to
Yeah,
speak.
it's a spirit formed from agony and usually a sort of violent act that is then followed by instant regret, and then you have this spirit just going in a loop
Hmm.
and appearing sort of like I think somebody mentioned like kind of like replaying on and on usually in the same area.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, and that every Hispanic person knows of that story, partially because our parents used it to scare us.
Yeah.
That was another thing, was like I feel like I don't want to like get into a culture and start talking about it and like get it wrong or get it the whitewashed way or whatever, you know. Um I definitely don't want to fuck anything up like that. So, that's why I was also trying to be careful about the like indigenous people like their culture and their cryptids and stuff. It tried to include like, hey, be careful about this. Like, it seems like it's getting really whitewashed and it's really bothering them. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's true. But a lot of it tends to be it that these cultures are now what they're experiencing and everything like that. It's now no longer being localized to a culture. More people are experiencing certain things like that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not so much whitewashed in my eyes. It's more along the lines of that being aware of certain things, and it's like it doesn't whitewash it. It just brings a new awareness to the thing
Yeah,
that's
I was
happening, or at
more
least
thinking about like when they like make a horror movie out of it and they like kind of stretched things and like did whatever, or like also they like to do like get into like the witchcraft and stuff of like the indigenous people and maybe like make them out to be like scary or like malevolent when they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah, like with Stephen King's Thinner, with the gypsy cursing and things like that. Yeah, that I get. That's kind of what I think you mean.
Yeah, I don't know
So,
anything
but
about Stephen King. I think that man is deranged and he freaks me out. He's one of those guys that I'm like, a person wrote this? Are we watching them? Like, are we keeping an eye on them? You know?
he's just like I like
He's
movies.
probably because he lives all up in Maine.
Yeah, probably. There's
Oh,
nothing.
I once
I
saw
was to
his
say there's
house.
nothing going on.
I was on
I'll
a
be
road
going
trip
there
You
down
next
what?
there
week.
and I saw his house. I don't know if he really lives there anymore. There's like a bunch of statues everywhere. And it's just like in this
Of
random
him?
neighborhood. And I don't remember. They were just not of him, but like they were just like a random things. I don't remember what they were. I just remember there being like a
Interesting.
lot of like stone statues in his yard, and that it was just in the
Weird.
middle of some random neighborhood. Like it's just like it was not hard to get there. We just drove past it like casually.
Interesting. Yeah, Margot, I know exactly what part of it that
Yeah,
no
I
one
know what's
talks
hot.
about
I
that you're
know that
talking
one. I know that one. That's another
about.
thing where I'm like, did we need this? I wish
Yeah,
they put that.
I'm glad I didn't add that to the TV adaptation.
right. I'm like, did this really lend something to the story? I don't think so,
I
but
don't think
whatever.
it did. I think honestly, I got some notes about that one for real. Like the whole, he said it was like about like the kids getting like growing up essentially, and it was like I don't think this little girl has to like have sex with like four little boys to become a woman. I feel like that's
Right.
irrelevant.
Yeah, no.
No.
Also, we are. Isn't there like something dire going on? Like, why are we worried about the clown right now?
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Yeah. No, I agree with that. It better be on a watch list for that.
No, for
I
real.
mean, it was yeah, I mean, it wasn't we just flip past those pages probably, but now, but yeah, but
Yeah.
no, like I said, the overall, like I said, where they turn things into movies and things like that, they kind of did that with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
movie, and I mean, the the core of it was almost there, but it was still heavily altered.
Hmm.
Which I think even in the whitewashing that you say, so just it still lends it to have people kind of read up on it and investigate it themselves.
Yeah.
Because
True. Yeah.
I mean, you're like, if it's based on a true story, what's the true story? And then hopefully they look it up or they just take it at face value, you know?
I feel like
Yeah, I mean,
it's more of like a common practice to just take it at face value, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
yeah, the thing with movies and shows nowadays is that it's a lot of people have it's very difficult to differentiate the Hollywood aspect of the supernatural and the actual um books and like stories that people have told that usually in movies they just get too intense on purpose because it's a movie and want to get people scared. But I think the scarier stuff is hearing the stories from people, um, and it's usually not as predictable as a story arc in a movie. Um, but that doesn't make money, so
Right.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we're now at his second dorm, which I think is sophomore year or just maybe after freshman year. Um,
Yeah, still bought movie stuff.
Yeah, we're talking
quick
about paranormal shit.
quick tag on real quick.
Go
How far away from the first dorm are we now from to the second dorm?
I
Same
actually don't
building,
know.
same. Okay.
I know, I
Okay.
believe it was nicer. So it wasn't the same building. I
But
think
same
this,
college?
yeah, same college.
Okay.
Okay. So Jordan has this dream. Jordan's my brother. He has this dream, where he's in like a one floor old country house in some rural area, and he had been with someone, but he had been with somebody, but he remembers they left. He doesn't know why, and so now he's alone in
Yes,
this
I
house.
probably are.
There were some old cassette tapes on the table and some gloves that were next to it that were giving him a really unsettling feeling. And then he looked at them, and they were like the John Wayne Gacy tapes. He
Oh,
didn't know anything about yeah. This is a random dream, but like I swear I'm going somewhere with it. He said he didn't know anything about John Wayne Gacy at the time, but later found out that like he had like tapes. I guess I don't know anything about him either, but like he had some
yes, he did.
tapes and of him doing some weird shit to people, I guess. But anyways,
Yes, he did.
I don't even want to get into it. There's a reason I don't know about it. But and this could have been like he had heard this somewhere and like didn't really like keep like it in mind or anything. But and then like reheard it later and was like, that's what that must have been about. Anyway, so he's looking at these tapes. Someone starts trying to get into the house through one of the doors, and he ends up having to like barricade this door with a table and also like hold it closed. But there's like a sliding glass door to his left. So he's trying to keep an eye on the other door and look back and forth between that door and the one that he's holding closed, so that they couldn't get in through that door. When he woke up, he was sat up in his bed, which he says, and he's not a sleepwalker. He says he's never woken up sitting up before anything other than just like normal laying down. And he was looking back and forth between his dorm door, which was in front of him, and his closet door, which is to the left of him. So that's freaky in and of itself to me, at least. That's enough to bother me. So he tells his roommates about the dream in the morning, and they thought that he was like messing with him. And he was like, no, like for real. And they say apparently the night before, Carter had a nightmare where he was really freaked out for some reason, and he was having to hold a door closed. And when he woke up from the dream, he was standing in the middle of his room with a sheet over the door of his closet, and he was holding it closed.
Starting to look at
Yeah.
Carter a little differently now.
Yeah.
They said
Have you
Cody
ever heard of it?
never reported any weird shit about like a dream or anything. Um, where was I? Where was I?
Have you ever heard of a dream connecting over 2 nights like that?
No, but I personally have dreamed the same dream with somebody before.
Yeah.
Not consecutively, but over time, yeah. But it can happen. I didn't know it could happen until it happened to me. But it's strange, and it's actually happened recently with Natalie.
Oh yeah.
We both woke up from the same nightmare
That's
At the same
weird.
same
time.
time. Yeah,
That's weird. Where were you
and it
when I
was the
did an
same
episode
the
about
same thing.
dreams?
He watched.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
I
thanks.
was watching.
He was watching.
Yeah, it's freaky. I've never experienced that before, but it's weird waking up at the same time from the same dream. You know,
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's after that.
that
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's scary.
that's fascinating. Um, yeah, the only experience I've ever had with having a connected dream to someone else was that time that like I came into work when I worked at a preschool, and this kid told me that he hugged me in his dream, and I also hugged him in my dream that night before. Um, that's it though. Which that was enough to freak me out because I was like, hold on. I'm really into that. I have a lot of theories about well, I don't have the thing is, I don't have theories about the dreams. I don't know what the hell is going on. But something's going on. And I wanna know.
Yeah.
I wanna know about it.
Well, I think
Holy crap.
I think that when we dream, we are not tethered to our body, so you can actually just with your consciousness visit other people and talk and share information. Or so with some of my friends, sometimes I'll message them and it's like, oh hey, I saw you in the other night. And sometimes they'll tell me, oh yeah, you're also in my dream. And I'm like, okay, well, it was nice hanging out, but sometimes it can be a little bit more intense. But it doesn't happen often, I think. And I don't think a lot of people check in with each other when they have dreams, or feel too embarrassed to talk about it.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't feel embarrassed about it.
I'm
So
gonna
I'm
start
like, hey,
texting
I had
my
this
friends.
dream. Especially when when I have a dream about somebody that it's something bad. Um, so I'll be like, hey, what's going on? Are you making any trips soon or anything like that?
Mhm.
Just to make sure. Um,
Yeah.
but it can be kind of alerting.
Yeah,
And
a
my
lot
mom
of
has
people.
that sort of same ability too.
Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of people have reported like having a dream about something and then it happens. Like it's some in some like figurative way, it ends up happening in real life and like it feels like that was like a warning or something. And like yeah, definitely if you especially if you're having weird dreams, I'd check in on people. I guess maybe I should be doing that. Um if not
Yeah, it didn't
for any
hurt,
other
so
reason but
I would
to
try it
see
out.
if they like were like, "Oh my god, you're in my dream too."
Yeah, and also what really really helps is just writing things down.
Mhm.
Especially when you have a dream or a feeling or anything like that, just write it down, write down the date, uh, and just to know. And if something happens, then you can always check back and check your notes and see if it correlated with that time that you
Mhm.
had that feeling or dream. I usually keep notes about those kind of things because you never know.
Yeah, my
Isn't that
aunt,
what
the
happened
one
in
that
the
said she predicted that
That's-
her ex-husband's hand was going to be cut off or whatever, like that told him not to go into work that day. She also had a dream and totally predicted that her friend would get pregnant. And like her friend was like, "I have news for you." And she was like, "You're pregnant." And she was like, "What?" And she was like, "Yeah, I had a dream about it." And she was like, "Yep, I'm pregnant."
Earth and bubbles?
There you go.
Okay, I did
Crazy
tell
though.
this one.
Yeah.
Did you have something?
No, no, go ahead.
Okay. I told this one in the last one as like a little sneak peek, but I think it's really interesting and not everybody was there, so I'll tell it again. So essentially, Jordan's in his room studying on the computer. All the lights are off except for like these dim LEDs that he had on the wall that every college guy has on their dorm wall because like you have to. And
Yeah.
his Carter comes and knocks on his door, and they were just chatting, and Carter was standing in the doorway. And so Jordan's looking at him and then out into the hall behind him, and he sees Cody walk really quietly out of his own bedroom and then go across the hall to a bathroom which was like near Jordan's door where Carter was standing, and he just kind of started like idling there in the shadow for a little bit. And of course it's really dim, so he doesn't have like a good they yearn for the LED strips, they do. um they're like,
There's
you know
nothing
what
wrong
this
with the
needs?
LED strips.
You know what this needs? What if I had like a light, but it was really long and it changed colors? Which they're cool. I mean, I get it, but it's just like every time. Anyways, that's not the point. Okay. So he's
Well,
like
that would be
idling in
like
this
nothing.
corner where it's dark, like he can't really see. He also couldn't see him very well, like walking across the hall, but he did see him. Um. So basically, Jordan thinks that Cody's gonna like scare him or something. I guess they were doing this to each other a lot. In all these stories, Jordan's like, "So there's a prank going on, probably," and then it ends up not being a prank. Um, but I guess that makes sense. He thought that he was gonna scare Carter, so he was just like acting normal. He didn't react or anything. Um, Carter must have felt him like looming over him or caught him in his periphery or something because he's like, "Cody, stop!" And he's like waving his hand like around where Cody is, and Cody didn't respond. So he's like, "Cody," and he like turns around. where he was, and he was like, so now Jordan thinks that they're like fucking with him, like they're together on this. So they go into the bathroom. Cody's not there. Um, Carter's like, I thought Cody walked behind me. I could like feel, like I could just like feel him there. Like I felt like he was touching my neck or something. And Jordan's like, I literally saw him walk behind you. Like I saw him. And then Cody is like, hello? And it comes from Cody's room. And they're like, what the hell? And they hear Cody hop down from his bed, which is like 5 feet in the air, walk to the door. He pokes his head out and he's like, what the fuck are you guys doing out here? Um, so Jordan had seen something go from Cody's room across the hall and assumed that it was Cody because he was the only other person there. And I guess Cody had like blonde hair, and it just like the head area of this thing was like a light color, but it was definitely like person shaped. And then just disappeared, I guess. And then Carter literally felt him, which like with their stories, the pattern seems to be Jordan sees something and Carter feels something. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and felt him exactly where Jordan saw that thing walk, and it was not Cody.
That's weird. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, we don't have an explanation for that one. And then after they moved out of their apartment, he said nothing spooky really happened anymore. Jordan and Cody stayed together. Carter doesn't live with them anymore, which would support my theory of like Cody or Jordan and Carter being near each other were like, kind of amplifying things. The
Yeah,
only
that can
thing
happen.
the only thing that he mentions is that Jordan did have a beta fish that he named Jerry after the ghost. That like they named Jerry, like the residential ghost. And one day it just completely vanished. There was no body or anything left behind, and they had like there was no reason for this beta fish to disappear.
That's weird.
That's
Like there was
weird.
no skeleton or anything. It didn't just like there were
Just
no
pop out.
remnants of it. He was like freaking out checking, and there was nothing there.
I don't know.
That I can't explain. There's no way to explain that.
I don't know.
Unless they have a cat.
Yeah, or they got really hungry at night.
Yeah, they did have a cat, but they were out of town when this happened, and the cats were at a different house. Like
Oh.
or not goldfish, beta fish is there. They move the cats. They leave out next day. They come back, and the beta fish is completely gone.
I don't know. That's weird.
That is weird.
Um,
Maybe
and then
it's a place. Maybe it was a place all along.
They moved.
well, this wasn't an
Oh, this was after
apartment.
the
This
move?
was a completely different. This was not their dorm.
Oh,
Mhm.
then okay, then it must be them.
I'm thinking it's Carter at this point. Because Carter's just
I don't
been
know. Yeah, there's something about Carter.
Yeah, Carter's got some shit going on. I feel if it's like if it's the like people that are stressed or whatever, that definitely supports that it be Jordan too. Especially because Cody never saw anything, never heard anything, never felt anything, but Carter consistently feels things and Jordan consistently sees them.
Yeah, it sounds like together they form like a I don't know, like
like a manifestation
yeah.
portal or
Mhm.
something, or some kind of
One of them can see it, one of them can hear it.
Yeah, they're
Um,
just
they form a full medium.
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, maybe
If
yeah,
Jess
that could
was
be it.
there, they would have all three. Because she'd be like, "Oh, I can't feel it physically, but emotionally, it's sad." You know.
What kind of Captain Planet team are they forming over there?
Yeah.
Then he had two more notes. When Jordan and his fiance were living in my mom's house, is also why I think it wasn't just Carter, because Jordan has these things happen when he lived with my mom, when he lived with my dad, um, pretty consistently, just to him as well. Um, when they were living at my mom's house, everyone was eating dinner together downstairs, and they heard heavy footsteps walking across the living room above them. And he and Maddie both heard it. Maddie's his fiance, and we're like, "What the hell was that?" But like they were the only ones there. And then also our house, like our childhood house, which ended up being my mom's house. was pretty spooky, which I thought was normal until I moved out. Mine and Jordan's friends would all refuse to go downstairs at night. There were these big glass doors just looking straight out into the woods, and a giant window next to them just looking straight out into the woods. And it always made people feel really uneasy. Like, I'll admit, it also made me feel really uneasy, but I just kind of got used to it and was like, that's how houses feel at night. But after moving out, that's not how houses feel at night. That is that specific to that house and that downstairs. We ended up getting curtains for these big windows and these big doors and everything. Um, just because like it was creeping everyone out, and we still felt weird even like with them drawn. It still just felt really eerie. Even if I happen to be like alone at my house, I have giant windows, I don't feel as creeped out as being downstairs at night in that house with 2 to 3 other people in the house. And then I also always also felt like something was chasing me up the stairs after I turned the light off and like went upstairs. And I thought I was just paranoid. But Jordan, when I started talking to him about this kind of stuff, and I mentioned that, he said he felt the same way.
Do you, out of all the places that you guys have lived, do you know any of the history of the houses or apartments or the land of where you guys were staying at all?
Um, at my mom's house, all we know was like it was built by one family, then another family lived there, and then we lived there. Like there were like we knew of the family that built it, and then the people that lived there in between us, and that was the only people that ever lived there. I don't know anything about the land. There's like some woods surrounding the house, so um, we didn't have neighbors super close to us or anything. And then my dad's house, also surrounded by woods. We just didn't like being like near people, I guess. Like we weren't big on like neighbors or whatever. Um, and so my dad found something similar. All we know about that one is it was in the 70s owned by, it was built in the 70s. It was owned by this older lady and I think her husband. And then she passed away, which is why they ended up having to sell the house. And it just sat there abandoned for a while. Like somebody bought it and they were going to fix it up and then I guess didn't for a while, and then they fixed it up and sold it to us.
Did she die in the house?
I have no idea.
Do you know that?
I think I had that
Mm.
question and was like, I'm not gonna ask.
Well, I mean, it's always a thing to want to know the history of a house like that. Um,
Yeah, before you buy it or anything. Because I found out about the history of my house when I was in high school, after I left the and then that explained a lot of things that happened there. And I was like, Mom, why didn't you tell me this before? Because there was some weird stuff that happened in that house. You remember the house that I used to live in high school?
yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, when we moved in, they left. What the family had like a photo of some like idol or something, and they had like a wreath of like black feathers all around it.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it because my parents went to see the house before we went in because we were like I was like in fourth grade or something. Um, so that would have been cool to know, but I didn't know until afterwards. But there was some weird stuff in that house. I don't. Did you feel anything in that house?
I always remember when I went to your house that it felt like there was always somebody else there that wasn't there. Like I always felt when we went to your house that it's like I could see, I knew everybody, like I knew one other person or something there. Like like okay, well so and so's behind the wall over there, but like
Right,
you
right.
go in that room, it
No,
just felt like that one extra
that house was
person.
weird.
And that was always there when we
Yeah,
even for your birthday.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't like that.
A strange. It was a strange house.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
There's like a ghost story that about that house. If you wanna hear about it.
Oh, 100%.
Um, uh, so this is something I found out after we moved out. Um, so apparently my dad had kept this jacket from his dad, and he had passed away since then. And my mom didn't like it. She's like, I don't want to have this this thing in my closet. So what does she do? She puts it in my closet. and she doesn't tell me. And time passes, and one night my brothers, they tell me this the morning after. They hear like pounding from my closet, and the closet wall on the other side of the wall is their room, because we were like really, it was like right there, right across. And I woke up and they were like, "Why were you hitting the wall?"
Mhm.
And I was like, "I wasn't doing. I was asleep." And
Mhm.
he said they heard like pounding on the wall, um, which was really really weird. And that made sense later on why it always felt weird to have the my closet open.
Ooh.
I
Ooh.
would always close it like to the like as much as I could, and I didn't know why. I was just barely becoming like more sensitive to that stuff then.
Mhm.
Safe to say though, when we moved, my mom ended up just throwing that out.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird. Some things can carry people's energy,
Oh yeah.
clothing, belongings, books, anything.
I
That's why
have a
sometimes
story
it's better
about
to
that.
not keep certain things. Oh yeah?
Yeah, I got a story
Yeah,
about
yeah.
that in here. I also asked my friend because I remember she had some weird shit happen to her. While we were working together, her name's Allison. While we were working together, she'd be like, "Yeah, we just moved into this haunted house, and I really want us to move again." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, it's just haunted, like weird shit." And I was like, "Okay, elaborate." So I had her write some of the stories down. I did not read this after she sent it to me because it's been a while since I heard the story, so I know what they are. But I thought it'd be more interesting for me to read it while we're actually streaming. But she said that it all started when she bought a dresser at the flea market. It was like a 1940s, 50s dresser. When they went to when they bought it, the people were very urgent to sell it, and we were able to get it for like $40. It was
Mm.
a pretty big dresser too. Yeah, that's a good sign, right? They were like, "Yeah, just okay, 40, just take it, please." I didn't notice anything weird with it. I had it for about 2 years, and then when I moved houses, I brought it to the new house we were in, and my room was a little bit bigger. And the first time something weird happened, I was with my friend Lainey, and we were making TikToks, and we had shut the lights off to flick them back on to do like some special thing when they flip the lights back on. There was like a man standing beside the dresser pretty much, and it genuinely scared us so bad we started immediately crying. We grabbed my phone and deleted the video. I don't know why. I wish I still had it. Yeah, I wish you still had it too. We ran downstairs. They were like, I don't want that guy on my phone. We ran downstairs. I told my mom and freaked out and slept downstairs that night. A few years went by. First of all, let's take a moment. She says, um, they flick the lights back on. There's a man standing in or like beside the dresser.
I'm
I never
familiar with that
really
trend.
what?
I'm familiar with that TikTok trend. Yeah, it was a song thing. They're like, I
Oh yeah.
want to flip the switch, and they flick it on, flick it off, and flick it back on
Yeah, and then a
again.
man is standing in your room.
That's a different trend.
That's a different trend.
Thank you.
She said I never had another experience with it, and a few years went by, and then I moved houses again and brought the dresser with me. And in that house is when things started like picking up. And I was asleep one night, and I was asleep with YouTube on, so I had my laptop next to me playing, and I had fallen asleep for some reason. I woke up, and it felt like I was hearing in my ear just like this whisper of this girl saying, okay, so, okay, so." And it was like a very light girl's voice, and it woke me up. So I obviously reached for my laptop to turn it off because I thought it was my laptop, and the laptop was already off. But when I closed my laptop, I looked, and in front of the dresser, the bottom drawer was out, and there was a figure like a girl saying, "Okay, so," and I was kind of in shock. Oh, a figure with long black hair rummaging around in the dresser, and I could still hear the voice. I was kind of in shock for a little bit, and then my first reaction was to call out for my mom, thinking that maybe it was her in my room doing something. I got no answer. I called out for my sister, and I even called out for one of my friends, being like, just thinking maybe she spent the night and I'd forgotten about it. When nobody answered, I mean, I woke up, I grabbed my phone and turned the flashlight on, and when I did, it was just gone. And so I very quickly reached and turned my lights on, and I just laid there for a really long time. I went back to sleep. Then I woke up the next morning. I couldn't really figure out what had happened in my mind. At first, I was like, maybe it was sleep paralysis, but that couldn't have been right because I grabbed my phone, turned off my laptop, and put it away that night. Things were different, and I had moved in my sleep, so I was really freaked out still. Okay, so like while she was asleep, or when she woke up, she like moved things around. She woke back up and they were moved around still. So it wasn't a dream. Things were different and I had moved in my sleep, so I was really freaked out still. The major thing that proved to me that it wasn't in my mind was because in the morning the dresser drawer was opened and it was a drawer that I never use. It had like old clothes that I don't wear anymore in it, and it looked like it had been rummaged through and touched. I went and told my parents what happened, and I was very serious about it. And that's when my mom kind of told me that over the last 6 years of having this dresser, when she was home alone, I'm getting chills, she would hear a lot of weird noises coming from upstairs where the dresser had always been. She felt comfortable saying it finally because I had seen something so shocking where I was like, there's something wrong. And then after that night, I definitely looked at the dresser a lot differently. Life goes on. And then a couple weeks passed, and my mom was home for a week by herself because I was on vacation and my dad was on a work trip. And when we got home, she was really, really freaked out. She told us about how one night when she was sleeping, she always locks the bedroom door when she's alone. And that night she locked the door. She had woken up hearing footsteps. And at first she thought it was an intruder. But when she looked up, there was a man figure with a top hat walking back and forth from their closet to the bathroom. She said she could just hear the footsteps and see him walking back and forth, and then he just kind of disappeared, and she went back to sleep. These people just going back to sleep is crazy.
Yeah,
I
that
guess
was the first one
I
threw
don't
me off. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know what else they could do, but I wouldn't just be like, okay, I guess this guy is hanging out in here while I sleep.
Weird flex, but all right. I'm going back to sleep.
um, you didn't even yell at it like I did. Um, she went back to sleep. Another time she was in their room and it was midday and she watched a man in a top hat walk from what would be my room to the bathroom and go back and forth. Ugh! And secured the footsteps again. While she was downstairs, she would hear footsteps and it sounded like just pacing back and forth. After that experience, me and my mom kind of agreed that we're getting rid of the stressor, so we put it in storage when we moved. When we moved houses again, and we have not touched it since. We're both very freaked out by it.
I mean, the dresser, did it have any kind of like, I mean, I don't know if you ever saw it, but I mean, it's worth to kind of investigate whether or not there's like any kind of like, I don't know, blood marks or like, carvings or anything like that. Something that would be somewhat personal, but I think would have taken energy into that dresser to possibly conjure up something like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This dresser freaks me out. She also might have uh mentioned it, might have forgotten to mention it here, or maybe I'm making this up, but I'm pretty sure I remember her saying she moved into like if they had like another like structure of some kind on their property in their backyard, and she moved into it. And before she moved into it, when there was just her stuff in there, she would see the light turn on in there. Um, like when she wasn't in there, nobody was in there. She was like from the house, could see that building and like see the light turn on and then turn back off. And her dresser
Mm,
was in there.
mm,
That's probably
yeah.
that might be what I'm thinking of when she said moved it into storage. Regardless, also she said when she told me I moved into this haunted house, she said that it was like there were like banging, like in the middle of the night they heard banging on the walls, and then she would walk in there and like all the pictures had fallen off of the walls, like they were just like all sitting on the ground where they fell off of the walls in the middle of the night.
I would just get rid of that dresser.
Yeah.
I'd get rid of the
So-
dresser.
They said they just put it into storage. Like, get rid of that shit. Put it in a
Yeah.
like. I'm all about like reduce, reuse, recycle, but this one can go to the dump. I'm okay with this one going to the dump.
I mean, I have a story about like an item that kind of had that tie to weird things. Where I currently live, we have an additional house that since we moved in, I mean, you told me too, you felt weird about that room. Yeah. Yeah, he came into my, and one of the first things he told me was one of the rooms that we have. He's like, I feel weird in this room. And so the history of that room has always been this kind of like okay, we'll just ignore it. Like we don't like to keep it open because it feels weird if the door is open. Like we just feel like you're gonna be watched. But I had my uncle who was living with us passed away in that room. And in that room we had a lamp that we had gifted my mother that was a touch lamp. And so you just tap the base and it turns on. And after he passed, we would find that lamp on and nobody would be going in that room ever. It would be on, and I mean, go to sleep with it off and wake up and it's on. Nobody would be going in there during the nighttime. The door closed all the time. Yeah. And and then my dad was like, okay, I've had it with this. He's like, I seriously, he goes, I'm done with this. He goes, so he unplugged it. And the next morning when he passed by, it was on unplugged. And we took it outside after that and we were like, nope, we're getting rid of this thing. We're not messing with it. We're like, yeah, that's pretty much what we did. We had a garage sale, put it out, and we're like free, whatever, just take it, don't want it. And like, yeah,
You're just as bad as the dresser people. Throw that shit in the trash.
Oh no, we got rid of it. We didn't put it in storage. I mean, we got rid of it. Somebody else's house now. So.
I'm saying don't give the ghost to someone else.
Well, I mean, ever since that, like we've had other family members come.
Unethical.
No, we've had family members. We don't think it was that so much, but we think it was the house. The house still is because I've had other family members who are like, I feel something in this room. I don't know what it is. Like my aunt, she's been like, I've felt a presence in the room when I go to sleep, and she says she saw a woman in that house in the corner too. And so it's a really weird room that he has saged a couple times too, and
yeah,
and
I didn't know about the lamp.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Counting myself so lucky that I've never seen something like this. I think I don't know. Maybe I'd be angry enough or sleepy enough to be like, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here." I hope so.
I like that. Those are your two settings. Is either I'm angry or I'm sleepy, and I don't want to deal with this.
I'm either angry or I'm too sleepy to be angry. Leave me alone.
I've never heard that Sage opens up portals and invites stuff in.
Well, I've read that when you use Sage, it cleans it, but it makes into a void where it's completely neutral.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why after you Sage something, you have to burn something else to then kind of get it back to something like incense or another herb or like Palo Santo or something like that.
Palo Santo.
Because the Sage will create a cleansing, but in a like non-discriminatory way where it's just like a void. But so if you don't burn something afterwards, then it's you're basically inviting anything. It's kind of like you're clearing out a space, and where there's space, something can then come in. So that's why it's important to burn something afterwards.
Yeah. So kind of like so maybe don't stage something if you're like liking the energy there.
Yeah, I usually don't sage until I feel something negative, or I just get the feeling that I have to, and then I always burn something afterwards, just
So
to be
what
safe.
what was the thing that you said to burn? What is that?
Palo Santo
Mm-hmm.
or incense?
Palo Santo.
Yeah, it's like a but you mostly find it anywhere now. But it's a wood that when you burn, it has like a sweet smell.
Hmm.
It's very distinct. And people use it for cleansing.
Hmm.
Okay.
But you can also use what else? You can burn some rosemary
Hmm.
or what my mom would do when she would feel something that was around the house. Growing up, she would get a bowl and put some salt and a little bit of vinegar, and she would get like a rosemary sprig and just mix it around and just kind of like spray it around the area where she felt something.
Okay.
So I grew up with around that kind of stuff all the time, although I didn't understand it when I was a kid,
Hmm.
but I did see the results. So I might not know exactly, but I know that through trial and error, some things have worked and have shown results. So
Nice. Cool. I'm taking mental notes because I've just been saging and I've just been like, okay, I guess that's good.
yeah, yeah, there's always a way of doing things, and you learn through making mistakes. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's another thing in movies and shows that kind of gets known, but they don't really follow through. Like, yeah, there's something going on. I'll just sage it, and then that's it. But you have to do more.
Mhm.
They only ever give like half of an instruction. Like I think a lot of TV shows are based in reality and in real like background and looking up things like that. I think they do the homework, but they just don't give enough because then it leads into the common person going, "Why? Like why would I burn Palo Santo after I just burned sage and things
Yeah.
like that?" So
Mhm.
here, this is just a basic level. Just take it and
Well,
go.
yeah, at
Like
the end, it's like those things are entertainment. They're not gonna be going step by step because they have to follow a story.
Mhm.
But that's just something that you have to do on yourself, by
right.
yourself. Um, yeah, that's pretty crazy. I have I have a story from when I was a kid.
Okay.
It happened when I think I must have been 9 or 10. Um, it was when we were living in this small apartment. And my brothers are younger than me. I'm the oldest by I think we're like around 2.5 years apart, each of us.
That's gonna be.
No, I'm just thinking.
Your brother.
And so I was it was like during like maybe noon. So it was during the day. And I know a lot of these things can sometimes happen during the night. So I was just playing. We were in the apartment. I was just playing around with my brothers on the floor. I think we were like playing with our toys and stuff like that. And I remember looking down the hall to the bedroom because it was like a one bedroom. Um, and I remember from my mom's bed this thing like popped out in my peripheral, and I see this like leg popping out, like kind of like coming into view.
Mhm.
Um, but there was nobody else there besides my mom, which was in the kitchen, and my brothers that were my two brothers that were with me in the living room. And there was this black colored leg that had like scales on it, and it popped out into view, and it was like doing this like sort of motion, like kind of like to get your attention. And I was just there on the floor looking at this thing, and I didn't know what it was, but I was scared because it didn't look like a person's leg. It looked like looked almost scaly.
Mhm.
Like you could kind of see some scales on it, and it scared the crap out of me. And I was telling my mom that there's something in the room, and she was like, "Oh, stop joking around." I'm like, "No, I saw something in the room," and so she goes to check it out, but at the same time, I felt bad because thing gets, and so I followed closely behind, and there was nothing in there. But I'll never forget that thing because it was like broad daylight, and there was something there, and it was just really really scary.
Yeah, I don't
And I
like that
think
at all.
since then it's just been like a weird memory.
That's so weird. That would
But
really bother
yeah,
me, especially the scaly thing and it being like raw. Honestly, things are creepier to me hearing the story if it's broad daylight, because it's like this thing, whatever it is bold. Like, I don't know, like,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
like, I don't know, I thought I was safe during the day, you know, and it's, I guess I'm not.
Mm-mm.
yeah,
No.
yeah. It's weird. It was just out of nowhere, and I remember it distinctly. And I know, people say like, well, your memory plays tricks on you sometimes, and as time goes by, you forget and you
Mhm.
replace things. And I know that's true on some things, but I will never forget this because it was so clear and I was so lucid when it happened.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm glad I didn't go into the room because who knows what
Oh, yeah.
would have been there.
Oof.
Um, that's just like one of the things that I've experienced. But again, this could go on for like hours if we keep talking about these stories.
We've been getting a lot of chats that I wasn't able to read at the time, but Rain Chaos said, I lived in a place where there were 2 violent murder-suicides and then another suicide. You could definitely sense that something was off. You could hear footsteps, floorboards creaking, etc. Um, and then Margot says, my friend's sister lived in a place like that, and we watched the house when they were out of town a few times, and it was just the most unnatural feeling place I've ever been. Um, she says it's just like something in your body is screaming at you to leave immediately, and it's just like something is staring you down at all times. Yeah, it's just sometimes that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes things are maybe explainable,
Yeah.
and like it's also explainable to feel creeped out by them because like it was like a freaky thing that happened with the lights or something. But also sometimes you have like a feeling. Like you can feel the presence of a person in the room with you even if they haven't said anything and you didn't look at them, you know, and it's almost like
Yeah.
that
Yeah, yeah.
feeling, but you know that they're not there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the feeling I had at his house when I would go over to his house. Like I said, I knew where everybody was in the house, but I could feel somebody else like just around the corner, just out of sight, but there was nobody there. So,
I've had moments in that house where I was sleeping or doing something in my room, and I've had like the like a poke
mhm,
or the feeling of your shirt like rustle,
mhm.
and there was nobody there. It was just me in my room, and so that house definitely had something there.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was a weird feeling.
I mean, when I was I'll just tell you a quick story that's not malevolent in any way. It's just a weird happenstance that I happen to always remember was that I was probably like 6 years old, and I would sleep upstairs. At the time, we were living in a two-story house, and I remember waking up in the morning, like little kid, just waking up. I slept in my parents' bed because I just was still scared to sleep on my own, and I woke up and I can hear. You could always hear people downstairs talking, and I remember waking up and hearing my uncle talking downstairs, and he was talking to my mother, and he was saying like, "Oh, is Rig here?" and blah blah blah. And he was just kind of talking. That's about my dad and things like that. But I remember hearing it before I woke up, and then woke up and I still heard it, but I was a little groggy and everything like that. But then when I went downstairs, I found my mother. She was sitting there, but she was by herself. There was nobody there. And I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe I probably just missed him or whatever. And I looked at my mom, and she was a little bit, like I said, upset. And I was like, what's going on? And she was just like, your uncle just died. Like, your uncle just died an hour ago. But I could hear him clear as day, like just how we're talking in this room, that he was right there and he was talking. And I was one of those things like, I'll know that feeling of like, I don't understand. That's not possible. Like, it doesn't, nothing that you're telling me right now is adding up. And I could hear him. I knew who he was there. Like, it was just weird. It was weird. And I'll never forget that feeling.
That's
So,
crazy. Yeah, my like I said, my aunt has feelings and stuff, and she wasn't really up to date. She knew that my dad was in the hospital. I think she knew that he wasn't gonna wake up. But we didn't tell her like she might not have known that he wasn't gonna wake. I'm not sure. but we had to unplug him essentially, and we didn't like tell her. And right after they did, she texted my other aunt, and said, "Rob just passed." She said, "I know, I was there," but like she wasn't in the room. Like my aunt Jess, that feels things, was did not know that they were unplugging him that day. She felt him pass and then texted my aunt to let her know, and she said, "Yeah, I know, I was there."
That's crazy.
Damn.
Oh, also,
That's a crazy feeling.
when my grandmother was talking to people and she was like about to pass away, and she was talking to people that were passed away. Everybody she was talking to were people that were gone already, except her brother. She was talking to her brother, and they hadn't been in contact for a very long time. Um, so my aunt was like, "Oh yeah, him," and so she was like, I guess I should let him know, you know." So she looks him up and finds him, and he passed away the day before. And she was talking to him.
Jeez. It's a weird feeling because it's almost like seeing somebody look past the veil. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like with like that they're communicating past the veil. It's a weird thing to watch a supernatural or hear about something very close to a supernatural event like that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, too, it's like I don't know. We dip back into the culture thing about like with what we're coming up now to what the Day of the Dead and everything like that, where it's a celebrated event.
Mhm.
And
So
that's another thing that you touch on is the I think touched on in the beginning is that um, some people will say, well, like I've never seen anything, I've never heard anything, I've never experienced anything, therefore I'm very skeptical, or I don't feel like it exists, or because it doesn't exist for me.
Mhm.
But like it's really based on your sensitivities, because if you are not highly attentive, or if you're not paying attention essentially to what's around you, um, then maybe these things have been happening, but you're just not catching it.
mhm.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that people, like I have some ADHD, but I'm also very attentive when I need to.
Mhm.
And whenever I step into a room, I'm always looking at like what, especially if it's like some place that I do things in, like my own room, or I leave things in spots. So if somebody comes in and touches something, I know because it's in the wrong spot. So I'm always looking and scanning my surroundings, and I think maybe that's sometimes why I catch certain things, because I'm always paying attention. But who's to say, if you are not highly attentive, then maybe these things do happen, but you're just not catching it. And it's not about some people just having an ability, a magical ability, but it's just attention.
I
And
feel
not
like,
everybody's always paying attention.
yeah, absolutely, it's totally like possible. I feel like definitely there are some people that just like either they're attracting it, or like they have like for some reason can see things like that other people can't see. Like my aunt, just like my aunt can feel things. Um, and
Mhm.
then also I feel like there are people that attract this a lot more. So like maybe things are happening where others can't see it, or like also maybe things are just happening more around some people, or maybe both.
It's interesting to get a room full of people that are attuned to that and see what happens.
Yeah, I
You
guess that
know?
was happening at
All
the
kinds of
dorms
them.
for a while, but there were only two of
Yeah, yeah.
them.
With
We should get more in there, see what happens.
just throw in psychic, sensible people in there.
Did they do that once?
What?
I think like I mean yeah, it's probably a movie or something like that where it's like they put people who are highly attuned to that in the same area. I remember hearing something about that somewhere.
Probably. It probably was like a horror movie or something like that.
Probably. I don't know, but who knows what would happen
Yeah.
with that kind of just blow up with a psychokinetic energy or something like
Yeah.
that.
I don't want to be there.
Have you had
I'll watch
anything
movies
happen
though.
where you're staying now?
No, I don't. Well, other than all the sleep paralysis, I feel like if I have, because like I said, like I feel like it can also like run in families, or like that seems to be a pattern, like with you guys, or like With me, possibly, if I've seen things, it's been the time I heard the footsteps, or it's been like my sleep paralysis. Some people have theories that um just like the like when you're dreaming, you're not like tethered to your body and you can like experience things that you can't while you're in your
Right.
body. Like sleep paralysis, you're awake and you're also not. Like you're still in that state where your mind hallucinates. And it also could be that you're tuning into other things and like seeing other things. That because you're actually looking through your eyes, you're seeing things. And it's not until like you go back into your body and you're able to move and stuff that it stops happening.
Mm-hmm. But
I
when you have
definitely
the
go ahead.
when you have your sleep paralysis, do you ever hear a like a whoosh sound in your ears?
Like air blowing on my ears.
Yeah. You like really fast, like a whoosh as you're going into the sleep paralysis, or as your body is going into that.
I don't remember that ever happening. What do you ask?
I've read about that being one of the things that people experience, but I've only experienced it a couple times, that sound. But
That's interesting.
yeah, I guess it's a thing. Have you felt that?
No, I've never had
You
sleep
never had it?
paralysis. I've never had sleep paralysis. Period.
Yeah, it's not great. You can induce it.
I don't want to.
There are
You
ways
can
to
induce
induce it.
it?
Yeah,
What?
there's if you practice. A lot of people will say that if you go to sleep facing upwards, it's most likely to happen that when you're on your side, but
Yeah.
it can also happen when you're on your side. I've read about angling your head on your pillow like a 45-degree angle, and just trying to stay as still as you can, and just breathing very rhythmically and slowly. You will get yourself to relax enough to drift off. But the tricky part is remaining awake mentally as your body drifts off. Um, it's not easy. I'm still trying it, and uh, I've only successfully done it like once, and it lasted very shortly.
Why?
Yeah,
I'm
why
like
would you want to do
taking
that?
notes. I'm like,
Because I want to
okay, check
experiment.
my head angle while I'm sleeping. Like, make sure that if
You're
we
No,
stop
I've done it.
moving,
I've
we're
done
gonna
it once.
stop thinking. You know?
I've done it once where I it lasted for a couple seconds, but I remember that um while it was happening, I heard that whooshing sound in my ear, like if you're going really fast, like if you're riding a bike and you're going really fast and the air going by. And then I remember my body being very stiff, but still being able to see the ceiling, even though I had my eyes closed. If
Mm,
it felt like I had like a film, but I could still
mm,
see with my eyes closed, which was strange. And then I got too scared because that transition feels very intense. So then I would just like wake up.
yeah.
But there are ways. I think I brought a book about it. I think I brought.
He has his own library at his place. So
Yeah, it's called The Projection of the Astral Body. I don't know if I can show it right here. And I'm still not finished because it's a lot. It's very um it's very difficult. Like it's not easy to do this stuff. And I'm uh really trying, but it's just not that easy for me. Because I
Well,
end up either
definitely.
falling asleep or feeling too overwhelmed and scared from it.
Yeah, it's really freaky feeling. Like a lot of mine, I'm like,
Right,
this isn't even necessarily bad, but I don't like how it makes me feel. You know? Um, I think
right.
I need to start paying attention to like what's happening surrounding my episodes because I definitely have them more in like they'll come in like waves essentially. Like it'll be a while where I don't have that at all. And then like sorry, I'm getting distracted by the chat. Margo says I used to have really bad
Yeah,
exploding
me
head
too.
syndrome.
no, you're fine.
What is that? And then the worst one was giggling right as I'm about to fall asleep. Can you elaborate on that? She's like typing furiously right now, trying to answer in a timely manner.
I would believe it.
Um, but yeah, I'll get them like in like waves, so like I'll go a long time without having them. I know the first time that I had it, it was like after having a conversation with someone about it. So I'm really hoping that me talking about it isn't making it like come up more. Um, like I hope to God. And then also like this ghost story similarly, like I hope that doesn't trigger anything. But
I hope this doesn't
You-
awaken something in me.
You never know. I mean, that's the thing about like I don't know what time zone you're in, but for me, I've noticed that if I'm reading something or TV or anything that deals with a certain theme, I'm most likely to dream about it. If I go to sleep right afterwards.
Mhm.
Um, so who knows?
Right.
Margot says exploding head syndrome is a sleep disorder characterized by a sudden, loud, and often frightening sensation of an explosion or bang in the head, typically occurring when falling asleep or waking up. That one I think I can
Yeah.
confidently say I haven't had, and I'm not jealous. An explosion or bang in your head. And
That's
giggling?
Yeah, that giggling as falling asleep is a new one to me.
Like you're giggling, or
I'm
you feel
open.
like you're
Yeah.
giggling, or you hear giggling.
None of those sound good anyway. It doesn't matter which way you're cutting that.
Imagine giggling outside of your own control while you're trying to fall asleep.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good. That's happened to
That's
you
some
as well.
cautious, hideous laughter
Uh,
shit.
absolutely.
That'd be weird in a sleepover.
Oh,
Ugh!
Yeah.
My friend just started giggling while everybody's sleeping. No fucking thank you. She heard giggling.
I'll be like, man,
Ugh.
I'll just be like, okay, well, they failed their checks. I'm gonna leave now.
I don't like that at all.
That.
Yeah, that's a new one. I haven't heard that at all.
But yeah.
But
All
yeah, I
right,
mean, like,
well,
I don't know. Do you have any more notes?
I don't have any more. I'm happy to end it here. I feel like if you guys, we could talk about doing another one of these because you brought up a lot of really interesting things that I want to hear about.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, a lot of for me ties with my own spiritual practice and experiencing these things, and then finding practical ways to balance. Like we talked about, like sleep paralysis, spirits and ghosts and stuff like that. Like especially when going to sleep, and so for me, I like to research like what can I do so I can just rest and not have this stuff happen all the time.
Uh huh.
And so I use like certain minerals and certain things in my own room to kind of stabilize that kind of energy.
Mhm.
Okay,
So that's definitely another topic to touch on.
Yeah,
for sure.
he's shared a lot with me over the many years that we've known each other, and whenever he tells me stuff like this, I I I research it with him, but I come at it from the like everyman experience where it's just like I know nothing about this. Explain it like I'm five, and then he
Mhm.
does, and I'm like, okay, like I try to play the skeptical as long as I can until I'm like, okay, you're right. We can't ignore this. This is
Mhm.
there's way too many instances or anything like that that's you can't explain certain events like that.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah,
Jordan's
it's like
at, where he's
these things you
like,
can put it.
I was just
Yeah,
gonna say, where he's like, I can't. He knows he sounds unreasonable denying it at this point, but he's like, if I admit it, the ghosts will get me.
yeah,
Yeah, no, and I mean, it just depends on your schedule, but I'm more than happy to talk about other things and going into even folklore that we're familiar with and cryptids and
Yeah,
yeah. If I'm free,
I
let me
love
know,
a
and
first-hand account. We'll talk about it.
yeah,
oh yes, yes, this I mean, so we're coming up to the time of the Day of the Dead, where, like I said, a lot of the Hispanic culture believes that the the veil between the living and the dead is the thinnest, and there's a lot of spiritual things that happen, and there's a lot of respect
Oh yeah.
that happens with that at that time. So
Yeah.
it's not
Mhm.
just like a ooh spooky story or ooh a Disney cash grab. Like it's actually there's a lot of lore and things that are involved with that.
Ooh, I'd love
Especially
if we
around
could
this
do a
time.
Day of the Dead episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that would be
absolutely.
great.
I have some stories from when I was working at the senior living center.
Oh yeah, your stories are just
It's weird because there was so I was working at this place. I'll just touch upon it a little bit right now. Um, it's a senior living center, but part of it was also a um where it was like sectioned off, and they ended up is hospice.
auspicious.
Okay.
Um, and so it was like around 3 or 4 houses that were attached to this facility. And they weren't used for a while because it used to be hospice a few years ago, and then they shut it down. But I had to be there to do some cleaning and stuff, and it just you could just feel it. And I have some stories from that part too
Mhm.
for next time.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I have
Yeah,
some
we're
stories
definitely
too of
gonna talk about this.
yeah, I have some stories of where I used to work at one of the locations. The automotive shop that I worked at was originally a crematorium that they turned from a crematorium into a restaurant into an automotive shop.
Okay, the
It's a lot of weird
crematorium to a
transitions,
restaurant part is what gets me the most.
right? But like no matter what though, the time there, like even if it was an automotive shop, the walls never got clean. They were never able to be painted over. The scoring of flame was
Ugh,
such an unsettling sight. So,
crazy.
but yeah, no, I mean, we could totally if if you and your chat would want us to come back, depending on our schedules, I mean, more than happy to.
Okay, we'll talk about
Yeah.
it. All right, I think we can end this here. Um, but there's plenty of
Yeah.
unfinished business that we'll figure out. Thanks everybody for showing up.
Yes,
I hope you guys enjoyed it. Evidently, we're gonna have a lot more of this to come. So, but thanks, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
yes. Bye. Thank you everybody for joining, and we hope to do this again very soon. So have a good night.